Excuse me. Welcome to Uncommon Analysis. Thanks for stopping by today. If you like this kind of content, like this channel, please like, subscribe, share, add a comment. All helps with the algorithm, helps grow the channel, so I do appreciate it. Today, I want to take a few minutes to talk about the 2028 race. Right, Trump's in there. He's busting his butt. There's a whole lot of stuff going on. If you are a left winger Democrat, you're probably pulling your hair out, thinking everything's gone, the world's gone mad. If you're not that part of the population, you probably have a opinion. Things are going well. Pretty good. I like what he's doing so far. Or, well, let's see what happens. But one thing you can't say is he's not kicking butt and taking names. He's been on the go since day one. So, time, I guess, to start talking about 2028, or at least conjecture about who's 2028. And this is an article from the Washington Post, published about a week ago, I guess, who say these are the 12 Democrats who they think makes the most sense, or whoever wrote this article for them thinks makes sense. Right now, I'm not going through the entire article. We will go through the names, and I'm just going to react to them and say what I think about these people. I think the Democratic Party is absolutely, their brand is completely in the toilet right now. I don't see any way they're going to be a threat in 2028, regardless of who they nominate. I think it's going to be similar to this cycle where it really didn't matter who the nomination was. That is conditionalized, of course, on the Trump term not being an absolute disaster like the Biden term was. If Trump completely flubs and winds up, and looking like another Biden 2.0, then, of course, the Democrats can run probably anybody and win. However, I don't think that's likely to happen. Assuming that Trump has a reasonably decent term, gets a lot of stuff he's promised done, and doesn't have too many, unforced major. I can't have unforced errors, but no unforced major errors. I think the safe bet at this point was JD is going to be elected. JD will be the nominee in 2028 for the Republicans, and probably cakewalk to the election, regardless of regardless who the Democrats run. And I say that for two reasons. One, the map is not kind to Democrats anymore. It really isn't. There is some concern Trump no longer be on the ballot, and those voters that Trump draws in, those MAGA voters who are not part of the Republican base, being as motivated and showing up for the next person. That is a concern for Republicans. When Trump's on the ballot, they do far better than when he's not, and that's been consistent through three cycles. He finds and brings in voters that the Republicans as a whole, as a party, just don't do. So it could play out differently, but assuming Trump has a reasonably decent term, the most obvious choice on the Republican side, of course, would be J.D. Vance, and I think he's going to probably cakewalk into the White House in 2028, regardless of the Democrats won. But with that said, let's go through who the big names are being thrown out, at least by this article. Tim Walz, non-starter. Elmer Fudd is not going to be president. He's not going to be the nominee. I don't even know why this name's even thrown up there. I think they're just trying to be nice to the guy. Stein, governor of North Carolina, possibly, but he's got a problem. He's Jewish, like it or not. They don't like to talk about that, but the Democrat base are radically racist people. The story is they didn't pick Shapiro for VP this time around. Part of the reason was they were afraid of offending their Muslim base, the Muslim portion of the base. So what do you think is going to happen for him? I don't know. I possibly, I don't know. I don't see him as a winner, but I think that's not likely. I think if you had to pick a governor, I would end up picking Shapiro over Stein, but he has the same problem. But I think he's far more mainstream. He also would help deliver Pennsylvania, which is absolutely crucial. North Carolina is a good one, but Pennsylvania is absolutely crucial. And the blue wall has fallen now twice out of the last three times, and it's realigning. The blue wall, the upper Midwest, is a long past, is realigning it should have realigned a long time ago. It's well past due to realign. So, yeah, I don't think he can beat JD, but I guess it's a possibility. I wouldn't write him completely off. Andy Beshear, I don't see this guy as anything. I just don't see him as even a player. I think he might run, but I don't think he'd go anywhere. Newsom's dead. Newsom is DOA. The wildfires in California and his ineptitude being exposed across the board there after being covered up and like most things for the Democrats, the mainstream media covered up for this incompetent boob, just like they did for Biden, just like they did for Harris. It's now all laid bare. He has absolutely no political capital left. I don't see him going anywhere. he would have been one of the top contenders certainly before. Certainly one of the names that gets tossed around. I wouldn't even think him a chance. Warnock, not a chance in hell. This is the Georgia junior senator. I don't see him in any. He might run, and he checks the boxes on race issues, right? Because hey, we got to have a minority. So the Democrats and their love for DEI stuff may help put him in the running. But I don't see him as a serious going anywhere. Wes Moore. He just became governor in 22. He's only been governor for like 4 years or 6 years at that point, so he runs re-election. Maybe he builds himself into a national figure by then. I wouldn't put much weight on that. Gallego, I think this is just people being crazy. Yes, he won the Senate race in Arizona against Kari Lake, but I don't think that's going to parlay him into the White House. He could run, but I don't think Fetterman would be one of my shortlisters for sure, of someone who could win a national election. I don't think any of these guys could win a national election against JD in the current environment, assuming the 4 years of Trump are not as bad as Biden's 4 years were. If Trump has a successful 4 years, it doesn't matter who they run. But Fetterman would definitely in my short list of a Democrat, I think, who could win a general election. For a lot of reasons. But again, the same problem. He is from Pennsylvania, which is good. It will help with the Pennsylvania problem and the upper Midwest problem. But the problem with Fetterman is he's sane. He's got some sense of sanity to him. The radical left of the Democratic Party, I don't know if they'll support him. I really don't. I don't know if they'll support anybody sane. They are so tied to so much nonsense that has destroyed this party that the party's got to walk away from it. I don't know if they can do it. Primaries are tough because it's those more radical wings that overrepresent generally in the primaries, and so you end up a lot of times with candidates that are just not electable. I think John Fetterman would be a electable candidate at the national level in a general election, but I don't know if he can get through the primary. But he would be on my short list if I was going to pick somebody. If I was a Democrat saying we need to get somebody in power, and I've had a video already talking about that. Kamala Harris, absolutely non-starter. This is just a joke. The fact she thinks she has any kind of political career at the national level just shows how out of touch a segment of the Democratic Party just is. She might be able to go back to California and run someplace in a ham sandwich election where a Democrat wins no matter what because they just have to D beside their name. But she is done with national politics. $1 billion burned for nothing. The fact they propped this woman up and tried to pretend she was competent was just asinine from the get-go. Her political ambitions, at least in terms of elected office for national office, are done. I don't see her being anything. She might run. She might win. She might run. No one can stop her from running, but she's going nowhere. She couldn't even get through in 2019. She couldn't get a single. She can get a single vote. She can get a single primary vote in either of them in 19 or 2020, right? In the 2020 primary or the 2024, she can get a single primary vote in either one. So yeah, that's a non-starter. That's a left. But Pete Buttigieg, absolutely not non-starter. This is a laughable one. This is another attempt to check a box for their DEI nonsense. This guy is out of his league. He was completely out of his league as transportation secretary. He couldn't even get reelected in Indianapolis mayor at this point, and that's where he came from, right? That or whatever it was, wherever it was in Indianapolis or Indiana, where it was Fort. I don't remember what town he came from. He wouldn't even get reelected mayor in the town he was mayor of. But he's going to be a president, not even a starter. This is just, hey, he's gay, so, hey, we'll run him. Nonsense. Gretchen Whitmer, I think she would honestly probably get destroyed in a general election. I think she would fall apart pretty rapidly as the candidate in a general election. But she is relatively popular. She's from the upper Midwest, so this would make some sense. She might be able to, I could be completely wrong. But I think a national presidential election, she just does not have what it would take to get through it. I could be completely wrong, but I also don't think she'd win the general election either. Josh Shapiro, this would probably make my short list as well. Pennsylvania governor, definitely a sane individual. Doesn't have a lot of the baggage that Whitmer and others did through lockdowns and other things they engaged in during COVID that, really haven't played out a lot in direct elections. But I think if I had Shapiro would be one I think could win a national election. I think he could. I think he could do it. Again, I don't think he'll run in 28, especially if Trump's second term comes out strong. I don't think he'll run. He's only in his 50s. He can wait. Why would he go in a situation he knows he's not likely to win? So we'll see. I do think he can win. I think he's capable of winning. But he faces the same problem that others do, and that he's one of the sane Democrats, and the radical left that are overrepresented, particularly in the primary process. I don't know if they'll back him. He's Jewish again. He's kind of not on board with a lot of the absolute nuttier side of the left has gone to. So if he could get through the primary, I think he would be a good candidate for the Democrats in a general election. But then I think in the right circumstances he could win. I don't think he would win in 28 if Trump has a good term, though. But I would fully expect Shapiro to run for president unless something happens to him between now and I fully expect him to run at some point. If it's not 2028, 2032, or 2036. So that's my take on these 12. I think a lot of them are just absolute jokes. They have no shit. They're not serious. And if they do run them, they're going to be just but their butts will just get kicked. But overall, I don't think 2028 is really going to depend on how good Trump's second term goes. If it's viable or not for the Democrats. If Trump has a great second term and it isn't a complete disaster like Biden, then it won't matter who the Democrats win. It won't matter who the Democrats run. They're going to lose. If he has a bad term, that opens the door. And I think there, two people on this list certainly I think could win a national election if they can get the nomination. I don't know if they can get the nomination though, because the party is just so, and the brand is so far outside of any sanity at the moment. So that's my take on these 12. What do you think? You think any of these guys got a shot? Do you think, Trump's second term is going to be a disaster? Because that certainly would open the door for Democrats. I honestly don't think Trump having a good first term leaves a prayer for any of these guys. Anyway, that's all I got for today. We'll see how time plays out. It's almost 4 years till we get there, but time does fly. So have a great one, and I am out.